including this, an exclusive look at the Trump administration's historic efforts to curb border crossings. There's massive military strikers being deployed, and there are more on the way. Brooke Taylor is live in El Paso, Texas. She's got a look at how these armored vehicles are being used in this effort. Hi, Brooke. Good morning.
Hi, Dana. Well, locals were snapping away on their cell phones when they saw these strikers on the highway being deployed to the border, as you can imagine, because nothing like this has been seen out here in over a decade. So in the El Paso sector right now, there's 2 of these strikers stationed out here. And we're told the DOD plans to add about 6 to 8 more in other areas across the border just in the next few weeks. So Fox got this exclusive first look inside one of these strikers. We want to show you this video here. These 8-wheeled armor vehicles. They are positioned to give a bird's eye view over the border. This one that we got to look at overlooks the Juarez, Mexico area, a major smuggling corridor known for its high number of gotaways, illegal migrants who manage to escape Border Patrol agents. Strikers could be armed with cannons or machine guns to fight enemies. You're taking a look at video from 2019 of soldiers training in Germany, but the strikers at the border right here, they are not equipped with these weapons. Instead, they are being used for surveillance.
So one of the main things that it provides is the surveillance capability with it. It can see up to 2 miles, like with the infrared. Once anything pops up, we just call Border Patrol and then they roll up on us. And also it's just, if you look at it, it's just a big deterrent for anybody.
This time last year, Border Patrol sources tell me there were 1,600 gotaways a day here in the El Paso sector. Well, in the last 48 hours, sources say there were 0. So I asked, why deploy these massive, expensive vehicles now when numbers are the lowest we've seen in years?
We also want to make sure those numbers don't go back up, right? So we will also look to bring in assets like this that essentially impress upon terrorist cartels and terrorist gangs that when the United States says national security cannot exist without border security, we absolutely mean it.
And Border Patrol agents tell us right now what they're hearing from the other side right now is cartels are having trouble even finding migrants to pay to get smuggled across the border, because right now no one wants to risk paying thousands and thousands of dollars just to get sent back home. Dana.
Well, Brooke, it's an important story. Thanks for bringing it to us this morning.
So a lot of points made in that, too. Texas Congressman Tony Gonzales with us now. And, sir, good morning to you, and thank you for your time. Based on that reporting from Brooke, I see 2 things happening here. You got 2,400 additional soldiers down there on the American side, and the Mexicans have dispatched 10,000 soldiers on their side of the border. That's like a pincer movement, is it not? And a lot of times these guys aren't seeing anybody on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, good morning, Bill. Thank you for having me. And you know what President Trump is doing is working. And I go back to my military experience. This is essentially show of force. It's not just words, it's actually action. A few weeks ago, I was able to host the Vice President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense, and D&I was there as well at the border in Del Rio and Eagle Pass. And as the Secretary of Defense and I were talking about it, he was mentioning a 4-stage approach to this. So I think we're just seeing the beginning of phase 1, right? So as we roll through this, that's very important. To sustain operations, you got to make sure those numbers stay down to 0. I was also mentioning to him, too, is while the numbers are down, it is going to take us years to get our lives back, because Joe Biden basically turned our lives upside down for 4 years. It's a very complicated issue, but the fact that we're using state, local, federal resources, I think is exactly the right approach to get to 0.
Yeah, you wonder at some point, I mean, maybe the story goes away. I mean, as crazy as that may sound, after, you had 1.7 million per year across the border, and now they're having a hard time finding people. I want to play a clip of you at a hearing. You're very keen on this unaccompanied minor issue. For those who have crossed the border in previous years and are right now in the country. Go ahead and roll this clip, and you're doing the questioning.
1,000 came in unaccompanied during the last administration, and HHS was so overwhelmed, treated them basically like widgets on an assembly line and turned them over to unvetted sponsors. Unfortunately, some were subjected to sex trafficking, child labor, and God knows what else, but they need to be found.
I agree with you. And I think this is an area that, that the president, working with Congress, we're going to have to work really hard to find these children. No one else is going to advocate for them.
This is what I want to get to there. At the top of the clip, we did not hear it. She said 550,000 unaccompanied came into the country in the past administration. Here are the numbers, 4-year period, 2019 to 2023. So there's some crossover with the first Trump term. 448,000 unaccompanied transferred to HHS and released to sponsored. 31,000 released to addresses that were blank, undeliverable, or missing apartment numbers. What does that mean for those children?
I mean, they're essentially alone, and no one else is advocating for them. At the beginning of that hearing, my question was simple: where are the children? We're talking to the tune of, like you mentioned, hundreds of thousands. I'm a father of 6. I mean, there's nothing more basic than taking care of an innocent child, regardless of their legal status. This is one thing I think the administration can work with Congress to get done. It's going to be difficult, but where are the children? How do we find them? And then also, another deep question is, what do you do with the children when you do find them? Are we going to deport them after they've been brought to the country illegally, sometimes against their will, as they've been exploited, if they've crawled and done through all these horrific things for them? Are we going to deport these children? I mean, these are really complex issues. But once again, as a father, any of us, we just got to. We owe it to just humanity. Find these children, where make sure that they're not being exploited on a daily basis.
For the most vulnerable, too, and you have to think about human trafficking when we talk about this. Put the graphic up on as we say thank you to Tony Gonzales here. This is February unaccompanied minors in the month of February alone, okay? Under the Biden team, 12,000, 10,000, 10,350. In February of this year, 814. That has dropped considerably. It needs to get at 0. We've got more work to do. Sir, thank you for your time. Tony Gonzales, Republican out of Texas. Thanks for coming back here.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.